there. And hello. Hi, Crystal. We are live. How are you?
I am fine. And yourself on this fine St. Patty's Day, if you celebrate that day.
Oh, you know I do. Oh, I do. I do indeed. And I am super excited about this Patty's Day because it's warm. Oh my goodness. We have had rain and icky weather and stuff. We finally have a nice
Yes.
one. This is good. Very good. And I'm excited about our show because this is definitely a topic near and dear to my heart. As you know, over the last few weeks, we've been talking about how to make money in a down market, right? How to, better than yet, how to take advantage of a down market. And so now we get to kind of pull some things together. There was
Okay.
4 or 5 of them, and I'm just going to combine the last two, and those are get the employer match if you have one. That's kind of self-explanatory. If the employer is going to give you money, get it. And then the second is diversification. That's what I want to spend time on. So
Okay.
how about if I read your quasi bio first, and then we can jump right in.
All right. Sounds
Okay.
fantastic.
Okay. So hello everyone. Please help me welcome my friend and colleague Crystal Mitchell. She is a business coach and consultant. She's the CEO of Mitchell Business Solutions, the co-director of Recycling Black Dollars. She's the co-host of The Business Zone with Crystal and Gilbert, that other weekly online radio show. She's an instructor at Mount San Antonio Community College, a certified network for teaching entrepreneurship instructor, and a QuickBooks Pro Advisor financial strategist. Hey, Crystal, how are you?
Hello. Good afternoon. Glad to be here for another riveting conversation about our money.
There you go. And I am Javon Thomas, fellow riveter, and I sell retirement plans. I'm a licensed retirement plan advisor, and we're going to just jump right in. Okay. Our two topics today are, or the big topic is diversification. Essentially, why do it, what it is, and then how to do it.
Right.
So, um, what is diversification? Right off the bat, diversification is spreading your assets out over many asset classes. So instead of investing in the winner, you're investing in as many things as you can.
Mm.
And I actually have a little bit of a diagram I'm going to show you all, hopefully in a minute, to see, we'll see if that works, that what we actually mean by diversification. Now, some people think that diversification is having some money over here, having another money over there, like maybe having some money in an IRA, having some money in a 401k, having some money under the mattress, having some money in your savings account. That is not what we call diversification. And I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with that, but I'm going to say that's not what we call diversification. The way that we use diversification here is we like to spread monies out around different asset classes. And we're going to take a couple looks. So I'm going to try this presentation thing here. You know how my computer skills are, so we're just going to give it a shot.
Hi.
I think, and I think I just messed it up. I think I did. Let me see here. I think I did. I think I just messed it up here. Let's see. Yeah, that's not it. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. I think I've got
Okay.
this. Here we go. Let's take a second here. Here we go. Okay, and we're gonna do this first, and then we're gonna share, and we're gonna do the window. We're gonna share. Nope, we're gonna do the entire screen. I'm gonna share. And we're gonna go like this. Okay. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Can you see that? Can you see that?
Mm-mm.
Nope, it's not sharing yet. Okay, that and share. Oh, we have nothing to share. That's not good. I'm gonna try this again. Share. Okay. Can I share that? Yeah. Okay, here
There
we
we
go.
go.
Can you see that?
Okay. I can.
Okay. So this is a it's a 9-block square of what we mean by diversifying in the stock portion of your portfolio. And we've got
Okay.
another one that I'll show you for the bond portion of your portfolio. So when we mean diversification, we mean spreading your assets out over large caps, mid caps, and small caps. You can see those on the left-hand side of your screen.
Mm-hmm.
And then up at the top, value companies or value funds, a mix of value and growth funds, and growth slash high potential growth funds. So this is how we break down the market. So when we talk about diversification, this is what we mean. So you might be asking yourself, okay, Jevon, that's all well and good. Which one of these is going to make me money? And the problem with that is we don't know. We don't know which one's going to make you money, and we don't know which one is going to make you money at what time. Nobody really does. If we did, I certainly wouldn't be sitting here talking with you. Right?
Why, you would have applied that to yourself?
Hello. In the example that I just read in an article, I'm not going to tell you the name of the article because I forgot who it is, but the example was, let's say that you were on an island and you noticed something very strange, and that is that it was either raining or sunny. That's the only two things, either rain or sun. So, and you notice also that they came, of course, one wasn't happening when the other was happening. So if you bought sunglasses, you would be protected from the sun, but you wouldn't be
Right.
protected for when it rained, right?
Mm-mm.
So you would only have that protection when it's sun. And if you happen to have a bad year where the sun never came out, then you wouldn't be protected you wouldn't be protected by the rain. That would be really bad, right? But if you bought sunglasses and an umbrella, and let's say you bought 100 of each of those, then if it was sunny or rainy, you could make money. Make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the way we look at the stock market. Because we don't know if it's going to be large caps or if it's going to be mid caps or if it's going to be small caps or if it's going to be value large companies like Johnson and Johnson, or if it's going to be growth companies like Amazon or Tesla, or if it's going to be, we don't know which companies it is and what kind of companies they're going to be. We say spread out those assets as often as you can. And that does a couple of things. It makes sure that whatever company is happening there, whatever company is growing, whatever company is being tapped, if you have a well-diversified portfolio, there's a very good chance you're going to be able to take advantage of that growth.
Right.
Okay. And for those companies, for those times that you buy investments that aren't doing well, the ones that are doing poorly, then you're doing what we call buying cheap. And so the way to make money or to take advantage of a down market is to have that well-diversified portfolio so that even when those assets are not performing well, you're buying them cheap. So you're mitigating your risk by spreading your assets around so that whatever is doing well, you're going to have a little piece of that. And you're buying what's not doing well so that when it does do well, you've already bought that and you can participate in that growth spurt. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so it's for that reason that we say it's better to be in the market for a long time rather than when should I get in the market?
Right. Because it's
Right.
a long term. We're looking long term, not short term, right?
Well, we're looking long term because it's very difficult to take advantage of the downturn if you're not there,
Right. Exactly.
right? So if the market crashes, we don't want to use that word. Let's not use that word. We did not say that word.
Retraction.
If the market goes down, let's say, and for the example that we have here, that let's say small cap value companies like Wendy's and I don't know, other small cap companies, right?
Mm-hmm.
They have a market capitalization of less than 2 billion. So that means the amount of money that is that company is valued at via their stock price. That means all the stocks they have out there in the market, it's less than 2 billion, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means they're a small cap company. So let's say we have a situation where small cap companies do extremely well, right? And let's say that that followed a time when small cap companies were not doing well. Let's say like 2 years ago, just for grins, let's say that 2 years ago, small cap companies were not doing well. I have no idea. I'm just pulling this out of the air.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say they weren't doing well. I'm pretty sure that's actually a pretty good, now that I think about it. And then let's say that next month they start doing great, right? But you don't know if that's going to happen or not. You don't know what's going to happen next month. So all this time you're buying small cap companies and they're cheap because they're not doing very well because large cap companies are doing well. Let's
Right.
just say that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So while you bought some large cap companies, you bought them at an expensive price and they're getting more expensive. That's things that are going up, right? We kind of like that. How much better is it going to be next month when the small cap companies go up and you've been buying those for the last 2 years,
Ah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we say it's you make money on your house when you buy it rather than when you sell it.
Mm.
And you make money in the stock market when you buy rather than when you sell.
Okay.
Make
Yeah.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it does.
So we want to make sure that we buy small companies and large companies, medium-sized companies and small companies, right? And we want to make sure we buy value and growth, right? So we're covering a lot of ground here. So we want to buy a little bit of it. We can cheat by doing the blend. You see the one, the column in the middle, it's a
Uh-huh.
blend between value and growth. So when I'm helping someone balance their portfolio, we're looking at, we get their risk tolerance, and that's going to help us determine how much stocks they should have and how much bonds they should have, how much fixed income they should have based on that portfolio. And then we diversify it this way. And to be honest with you, the math has already been worked out, right? So as soon as I know your risk tolerance, that is, as soon as you take the questionnaire, and this is why I lean on that questionnaire. And I would say if you have an advisor and they're in your 401k plan and they don't put you through a questionnaire, run quickly,
Mm.
run away
Mm.
from that person. Because the questionnaire helps us determine what your risk tolerance is. And once we know that, the math has already been done about how much large cap, how much mid cap, how much small cap you need. And then we can break out the value and growth, and then we can use the blend in the middle there to cheat a little bit or hedge our bets, right? So
Okay.
if we're assigning, well, I've got 3 large cap funds and I've got that are value and I've got 3 large cap funds that are growth, what should I do? That your advisor may say, well, you could choose one of each of those, or you could choose one blend fund that has value and growth in it. Just kind of make things a little bit easier for you.
Okay.
Make sense? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how we diversify the stock portion of your portfolio. And I'm going to try to put up the screen for diversifying the bond portion of your portfolio.
Okay.
So just to review, we've got value and growth, and then we have large, medium, and small companies. And there's the definitions. And then to help us out, we've got a blend companies of value and growth. So then the question becomes, which one should you choose? Well, that's up to you. We can just help you. We just help you.
You can make but suggestions and with the cause and the effects, right? The pros and the cons, and then you have to make your own decision, right?
I rarely do that. I
Okay.
rarely make suggestions. I give
Okay.
what we call guidance rather than
Mm.
advice.
Okay.
And I think that's a prudent way to go. That's the way that I was educated. I think there are now, don't get me wrong, many, many, many wealth advisors that I work with, folks who actually take people's money and invest it for them. They definitely give advice. That's
Okay.
that's what they
Right.
do.
Okay.
That's just not what I do. I give guidance rather than advice. So I would have a conversation like, well, you've told me what your risk tolerance is, 80-20, let's say. So that means we should have about 50% of your assets that you're going to invest in stock. We should have that in large companies. Okay.
Mm.
So of the large company options that you have, which one do you want to choose? Bear in mind, you should have some value companies and some growth companies. And then you say, well, I like the idea of things that are a little bit less volatile. I said, well, then a value company would probably be a good thing for you. So which one of the value companies do you want? Well, tell me the difference. So we talk about the difference. And I say, having a small amount of growth isn't a bad thing. So perhaps you may want to have two value companies and one blend company. That way you get, or two value stocks and one blend stock. That way you get more value. You lean more towards value, but you still have some growth options.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
But I'm not telling you what you should do, but I'm just saying you may want to consider that based on how you feel about the market.
Okay.
Whereas an advice person would say, well, here's the deal. You like Amazon, right? Yeah. Well, that's a blue chip growth company. So let's put your money in. I'm going to put your money in growth. Let's put your money in growth. Or they may say, you are how old? 35. Oh, you're young enough for things to come back. So let's put you in growth. Or they may say, how old are you? I'm 54. Well, you still need some growth action there. You still need some growth things. But, at your age, I don't think it's appropriate for you to put money in small companies because those are too risky for you. So I'm going to say you should put all of your assets in large cap growth companies. And these are the ones for you. You see the difference?
Okay. Yeah, I do.
Right. So I'm going to advise just what you say and why that works out for you so that you can make your own decision and it's yours, you own it. And I'm just going to help you there. Or someone's going to tell you what to do. Now, both of those have their place.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we can't say, I'm not going to say one's better than the other. And then, of course, if you choose a target date fund, then, all bets are off. You don't really have to understand this. They do all this for you.
Okay.
Makes sense. That's one of the theory behind it. Okay.
All right.
So that's how we diversify the stock portion of your portfolio. And if you want, I can send you a copy of that. Now, let me show you how to diversify the bond portion of your portfolio. So hold on just a moment. We're going to stop sharing here. And we're going to go to the bond portion here. Can you see that?
Not yet.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Do that in here. Okay. Nope, we're going to go back to that one. We're back to present and share and go to the window. I'll do the entire screen here. I'm going to share. Okay, that's it. Okay, there we go. Okay, present. Oh, there it is. And that's it, right? A little conversation I need to have with myself here. Okay. So
a lot of clicking.
You cannot believe, I practiced this before we did this whole thing.
Okay.
So anyway, now we diversified the bond portion of our portfolio. I'm sorry, the stock portion of our portfolio. The average return, and I want to say that the average return for the stock/equity portion of a portfolio, generally between 9 and some people say 11% now.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah, 9 and 11%. With a bond portfolio, the return on average was has been between 6 and 8%. So on average, now we do say average, and that's over a long period of time since the crash of 29. So, some years the stock portfolio could return 20, some years it could return 3. Some years the bond portfolio could return 12, and some years it only returns 1 or 2. So it's just an average. So don't get locked into those. But we can suggest that the bonds section of our portfolio is generally less volatile than the stock market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So
Okay, so
can you just, to our audience, can you explain to them the difference between the bonds and the stock?
oh, great question. Great question. Okay. So when a person purchases a share of stock, that means they're buying ownership of that company. They're actually buying a little bit of that company, right? And if we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about a bond, they're actually loaning that company money, right? So in the one sense, you're like, you may own a piece of the rock, right? But in
Mm-hmm.
the other sense, you're just loaning the rock money, right?
Okay.
So you can imagine if you are uh, loaning a company money and you're only doing that for 1 to 3 years, as the chart says, your volatility is dramatically lower than it would be if you're loaning the money for 10 years. Because all kinds of stuff can happen between
Right.
3 and 10 years, where it's not going to happen between 1 and 3 years, right?
Right.
And then
Exactly.
the long term is there's more of a return, more interest there because that's 10 years. So usually we think of long term like your mortgage, on your home. That's a 30-year situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be the higher risk. Something intermediate, like 5 to 10 years, um, something like lots of corporate or municipal bonds are like that. And then short term are like really short term bonds, like if you're going to build a school or build a pool or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the lowest volatility, short-term bonds, treasury bills, corporate bonds, that kind of thing, those yield the least amount, and the long-term bonds yield the most amount. I rarely ever put anyone in long-term bonds because for the last few years, the return on the long-term bonds has been very similar to the return on intermediate-term bonds.
Oh,
Yeah. So then it
okay.
becomes, why take the risk and leave your money out there if you're not going to get more return?
Oh, okay.
Make sense? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we have uh, short, intermediate, and long, and we also have corporate versus government bonds. Government bonds tend to be a bit less volatile. Our government tends to be able to print money. Take that as you will, but they can print money, and so they can actually pay those off. They can pay those off. Let's put it that way. Whereas corporate bonds, well, those are bonds that you lend to companies, and so their ability to pay that off is going to be determined by their profitability, right?
Mm,
All right. Our government doesn't really have a profitability. It just
right.
That's a
You just,
discussion
yeah.
for another time. So when we ask you to take that risk questionnaire, what we're really saying is we want to get the right mix of stocks and bonds. So I already know the amount of stock you should have. And when I say that, I mean equity. And we are talking about mutual funds, right? And mutual funds usually have between 50 and 150 short-term bonds, or 50 and 150 intermediate bonds, or 50 and 150 stocks, or large stocks, or 50 and 150 small cap stocks. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're already kind of diversified if you invest in mutual funds, which is one reason why they're in 401k plans, because they're already slightly diversified. And
Okay.
and in order for a 401k plan to hit all the buttons, to hit what we call 404C, that is to make sure that they are compliant with the rules that govern 401k plans, in order to make sure that they're compliant, they have to offer some bond funds, some stock funds, right?
Okay.
They
Mm-hmm.
have to do that. So that's why when people see the list of funds they have to choose from, sometimes they just go, "Oh, it's just too many, and I don't know what this is about, and I just can't make a decision." We call it paralysis by analysis. But you are paying someone like myself to help you with that decision, right? So don't be afraid of it. Okay, so
Okay.
we want to diversify our bond portfolio or fixed income portfolio. So if we have a risk tolerance of 80-20, I already know how much mid/intermediate term you should have. And generally it's about 10% of your portfolio, right? So about
Uh-huh.
50% should be in intermediate and long term, or short and
Mm-hmm.
intermediate funds, and
Mm-hmm.
then the last in long term, right? So now that I already know that, it's incredibly important that the person take that questionnaire and make sure they have the right risk tolerance, because we want to make sure they're diversified enough, like they're taking enough risk, right?
Mm.
And I'm going to tell you right here and now, I like for people to take that at least once a year. And the first year you do it, you're going to get it wrong. That's just the way life is, right? Because you're not going to know yourself. It's going to be new. It's going to take you a while to uh, uh, to um, to figure out how this thing works. So do it,
Mm-hmm.
and do it again a little
Right.
while later, right?
Right. Exactly.
Okay,
All right.
so that's how we diversify a portfolio. And that's why we diversify a portfolio. And that's why there's so many choices. And that's why when a client, for example, asks me, and I'm going to suggest this, says they don't be that guy, don't ask me, or don't be the guy that says, how much is this company going to return me? And based on that, how much do I need to put in to reach my retirement goal? And based on that, what should I have in order to reach my retirement?
Mm.
Because that's not the way the system works, right?
Right.
That's like if you're going to bake a cake, um, you're asking, is a Buick better than a Toyota,
Right.
right?
Right.
It just doesn't work that way.
Mm.
So we have all kinds of tools now that will help a person based on a particular interest rate tell you where you are with regard to reaching your retirement goal. So they'll say if you have this amount in your portfolio based on 6% and your retirement goal is X, then you're on your track, or you're this close to where you should be or not, right? The rule of thumb for advisors and for folks like myself is that when you start saving for retirement in your 401k plan, we're suggesting that you grow your assets so that by the time you reach retirement age, your assets can generate, back in the day, about 80% of your take home pay.
Mm.
Back in the day, 80%
Okay.
of your take home pay. Okay. We changed that because we found out that as people started living longer, they started wanting to do more stuff, right? They started wanting to go and see their kids more. They started wanting to take that trip around the country on the motorcycle. They started to, and then they changed their mind. And when they found out that motorcycles was hard, and they decided to get into a Winnebago, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we found that people started spending more money in retirement. So we changed that number where your portfolio needs to generate, not be, but generate 80% of your take home pay, to your portfolio should generate 110% of your take home pay. And that's including the money that you get from Social Security. And as you and I were talking about before, um, since it's possible that Social Security could be uh, severely depressed, or maybe even taken away from us, depending on how things go, that puts even more pressure on folks to save. And it puts even more pressure on folks to be well diversified. And it puts even more pressure on folks to probably work a little longer and start saving a little bit earlier.
Mm. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So go
And
ahead.
I also think because we can never foresee, because we're not psychics, what a future may or may not look like.
Mm-hmm.
Um, for certain, we didn't any time in our whole entire life foresee what we see today. in the White House, right? And the rapid deterioration of programs that were designed to help the people, we the people of the United States. They were put there for a reason, right? And a country
Yeah.
for a reason, right? And so all of that has a direct effect on everything that we do, especially if we started our retirement plan 20 years ago. We had no idea that come that time when, or 30 or 40 years when time for us to retire, we would see such volatility when we're about to leave something secure, which would be our jobs.
You're exactly right. And it's for that reason that I say to folks, every year you want to do what we call that financial uh, wellness check, right? And I
Right.
work with companies that specialize that, but do that financial wellness check where you make sure you're on track for the retirement, because you may not be, right? If you think, okay, I'm going to get this amount from Social Security and I'm going to get this amount from inheritance, so that means I need my portfolio to generate this amount. Well, I just told you there's a very good chance that you're not going to have Social Security depending on who you are. In
Mm-hmm.
fact, I know lots of young people who, back in the day, I want to say maybe 5-10 years ago, 5 years ago, let's say, were thinking, Social Security is not going to be there when I get old enough to receive it.
Mm-hmm.
So they based their savings on not being able to have those Social Security dollars. They're not even
Mm.
thinking about what they were going to be. So
Right.
it's a moving target is the deal. And we have some tools to help us with that. Every 401k plan that's worth its salt has wellness tools where you can put into the tool how much you have, how much you're saving. You can choose an interest rate that you hope it's going to grow by. And based on those numbers, you can tell if you're on the right track or not. And I would say
Mm-hmm.
you want to do that at least once a year to make sure, because things happen. Like they put Social Security on the chopping block, or they're going to put Medicare on the chopping block. If they put Medicare on the chopping block, it's very possible, or the Obamacare, for the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to your long-term care, that's going to affect you. So,
Right.
what is your plan for that? What are you going to do? Is that a life insurance thing? Do you need to talk with one of those folks? And if I were folks, I would say if you're in your 30s, you definitely want to be familiar with how to get in touch with the Social Security Administration. Go to ssa.gov. Do that just to make sure, as you had pointed out earlier, that your records are correct. You need 10 quarters in order to be eligible, 10 quarters of working in order to be eligible for Social Security. So make sure you have that. And if you don't have that, get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
In
Mm-hmm.
the case of where Social Security goes away, now you've got to rely upon your savings.
Right.
So you need to start saving for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we all need to do that. And I would say that uh, save what you can. If you only make $20,000 a year, it's going to be really difficult for you to put $15,000 away a year into your savings plan. Very tough. Very, very tough. Very tough.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to do what you can. That's the whole deal. Is do what you can, and then once we get there, we'll we'll see what happens. We'll see how we can do what we can do. Um, so that's what I really wanted to say. The trick behind diversification, while we're building, we call this the accumulation stage, is that it helps us reduce our risk because we spread
Mm-hmm.
those assets around, and whatever is popping, we get a chance to hit that. And it helps us to increase or maximize our return because we're able to buy things that are cheap. And as they grow, we get a chance to profit from that loss, from that downturn. And
Mm.
so when it comes to bringing this around full circle, when it comes to how do we take advantage, not how do we make money, no, not that. How do we take advantage of a down market? in a 401k plan is, number one, we uh, make sure we have the right risk tolerance, right? We take that questionnaire. Number
Right.
two, we make sure that we have a well diversified portfolio. We do this diversification thing. Number three, we make sure that we take advantage of that match. If the company's going to give you money, get that. Don't leave that on the table, right? And then number
Mm.
four, I would say, we want to make sure that we do that wellness thing so we can make sure that, we're on track. And then lastly, I would say, um, do the dollar cost averaging, take part, right? The problem that we have, and we can talk about it a little bit later. In fact, I definitely want to talk about this on a different broadcast, and that is that people let their emotions determine how they're going to invest. And that always ends up bad. Dollar cost averaging, putting money in every time you get paid, putting money in on a monthly basis if you don't have a 401k plan, but putting money in on the regular, the same amount, just make it a thing that you do, pay yourself first, do that on a regular basis. That takes the emotion out of
Mm.
your decision making, and
Mm-hmm.
that can just help you so much. You don't make the mistakes that so many people make when they panic.
Right.
So,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something because again, it's long term, and you can't emotions can't come into that because I mean we're emotional for different things for at different times for different reasons.
very much so. Very much so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, any
Yeah.
questions?
No, I think that was excellent. It's just right now we just need to make sure we everyone understands or sees or can go research um, anything that has to do with their financial security. They should be well connected and involved in that and not left to someone else handling it for you because no one knows your needs better than you.
I think you're right. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and suggest that if you're in your mid 40s and you haven't saved, this might be a godsend for you. Right?
Yeah, yeah,
Because theoretically, we are going to get through these tough times. Whoever's in the White House, right?
right.
Whoever's in the White House. And as the market goes up and down, up and down, up and down, and mostly, let's say, down for this short period that we have around that we're surrounding in, I'm not going to suggest that Mr. Trump is going to destroy the economy, but if the market goes down, this is your golden opportunity to make up on lost time. So if
Mm,
there ever was a time for you to get in, now is the time. As
mm,
one of our favorite investors suggest, when the blood is in the street, get in.
get in.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
So that's that. Okay.
Okay.
Would you like to give the last word? And then I've been talking for a long time. I can talk. So
Well, actually, no. I think that when kind of what I just said. This is just that time when we need to be more connected and really do. Don't let things. We should be making sure we're verifying, checking, and making sure everything is in order. Because this is the very special time that we're going through that we hadn't had to worry about what that future looks like.
well said.
And
I could
so,
not have said it
so,
better.
so the more connected and more involved, and the more you understand about how your retirement dollars are being used in for the benefit of you having enough money or to accommodate what do you say 80% of your living expenses
That was back
post
in the day. Now it's
retire
110.
110 110% post retirement and understanding everything that and you have to kind of review everything where you're going to live how you're going to live what may be some potential health
Yes.
conditions down the line that could affect
Yes.
that
Yes. Very much.
on that side and then the other side is if you want to spend time with your grandchildren and they live on the other side of the country that means travel
Mhm.
and just making sure everything is in place so that you have the freedom to use that time where you're no longer obligated to be at a job um, all the time, and now you have time to go do what you want to do. Make sure you have the resources to make that happen.
Could not have said it better myself. Thank you very much. And I
Hmm.
think that is it for our broadcast. So, again, thank you, Crystal, for
You're welcome.
chipping in there. And um, I want to say thank you all for joining us and have a great rest of the week. We'll see you
Okay,
next week.
everyone. Bye bye.
Bye bye now. Ooh, okay. Crystal, this is
Yeah.
amazing, but I have got to go to the restroom. So
Okay. All right.
I'll see you later.
All right. Bye bye.
God, man. Okay. Okay. All righty, 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 mighty.